9:30, and I'm supposed to start, so I will. Hi, I'm Joan King. I'm the director of the Career Center. As it happens, we have practically the whole Career Center here today. Bernadette, say hi, Dina, Steve, and Megan. And you will be seeing them from time to time. These are people that you may want to make appointments with. They will also be conducting these sessions for your classmates. You've already gotten your packet. In the packet are several things which I'll ask you to look at later, but one is the Career Planning Manual, one is the Public Service Handbook. These are very useful books for you to have. You can consider them almost a research tool as you go along. It's not something you necessarily sit down and read cover to cover. In the back are resume formats. We strongly prefer that you use these formats when you prepare your resume when the time comes to come in to see us, and I'll talk about that in a moment. The reason we prefer that you use these formats is that they work. We've gotten feedback, and we think that these are clear and readable, and after all, that's really what counts when you're presenting a resume to an employer. We're located in One Wareham on the second floor, and our hours are 8:30 in the morning until 6 in the evening, except for Tuesday when we're open until 8:30 in the evening. We are closed on the weekends. We encourage you to make individual appointments with us. Counseling is by appointment. Theoretically, you can walk in, but the chances of finding a counselor who's free are very remote. So I would encourage you to make appointments. We also have, however, an annex. We call it an annex. Right here in this building, on the 4th floor in the entryway to the dining hall, we take one of those tables between 1 and 2 o'clock. Every day there's a counselor on duty, Monday through Friday. It's useful for quick questions. We also have our handouts there, any flyers for programs and so forth. So on your way to the cafeteria, you might want to stop by and say hello to whoever's on duty. We do also in the Career Center are lots of things. This is outlined in the Career Planning Manual. We have a fax machine for your career use. We have a photocopy machine. We have 2 computers for word processing with a laser printer. We also have internet access on 4 computers with a printer attached, so that if you're here and you want to look at our job listings and you want to print them out, you can do all of that in the Career Center. We also actually have a telephone for your use. Not exactly for your use, for your career use. So that, you know, an employer that might say, call me, you can do that from the Career Center. Our job listings are posted online. We have partnered for the last 3.5 years with EmployerNet. EmployerNet is a major commercial site for career information. This is not the commercial site. Don't sign on through employernet.com. If you do that, you're not going to see our job listings. And it's very important to see our job listings. When you sign on the way I'm going to tell you in a moment, you will see both our job listings and EmployerNet's listings. So you're really getting the best of all possible worlds. You'll sign on through, by the way, in the back of your packet there are some screens we put together. I don't think you even need them because it'll be fairly obvious to you. Go to the Brooklyn Law School website, click on Career Center, click on Job Listings, and you will have a login screen. And at the login screen, you will use the ID and password that's written on the top of your instruction sheet, in the upper left-hand corner that's in the packet. And that will log you on. By the way, the password is a collection of numbers and letters put together by EmployerNet. If you wish to change that, you can. The only thing is, remember that we will not know your password anymore. We only know the default password for each of you. So if you change it and you forget it, you're out of luck. Anyway, when you get onto the Brooklyn Law School EmployerNet page, which is where you'll come to when you log on, the first thing you want to do is fill out your personal profile. It's partially filled out for you. Your name, your address, your BLS email address, and your phone number already put in. Now, obviously, if the address that's in was your permanent address and you now have a local address, you want to change that. I would urge you not to change the email address. I mean, for those of you who were at the Dean's Teas, you heard many of the administrators urge you to use your BLS address. Let me tell you why this is important. Let's say you decide to put, well, let me first of all say, we will communicate with you solely through the EmployerNet module. So whatever email address is in there is the one that's going to get our information to you, okay? So, and that's very important. Now let's say that you decide, oh, I don't want to use the BLS thing. I want to use Yahoo. And that's all right, because we will, whatever's in there is going to go to you, but here's the problem. Now you decide you don't want Yahoo. You change to Hotmail and you forget to change it in your personal profile. And then you're never going to hear from us. And that's a problem. You really want to hear from us, and you want to hear from other departments in the school. So use whatever other email address for your personal use, whatever, or your business use, but keep the BLS and check it regularly, because we do get in touch with you. I'll give you an example. Over the weekend, we got a marvelous job listing for an 03 grad, our most recent graduating class. I was able to list that job over the weekend. I was able to contact some of the graduates over the weekend, and by the end, or by the middle of the day on Sunday, the employer had already made a decision to reach out to at least one of the graduates whose resumes I was able to email over the weekend. All that doesn't happen if you don't respond to the email address that we are using. So I just want to give you that as an example. Now, a problem that some of the evening students have encountered, because they're the first ones who got their IDs, is that they put some stuff in their personal profile, clicked submit, and lo and behold, it didn't take. Here's the problem. At least we think this is the problem. If there's another problem, we'll let you know. You have to fill out all the required fields in order for any of the information to take. So just bear that in mind. Now, another thing in the personal profile, which is very useful, is job mail. Let's say, in your case, you're looking for a summer job for next summer. You will fill out your profile. You'll see it. It's pretty easy to do. You'll say you're looking for a summer job, and let's say in a law firm or a corporation or a government or all three or public interest. And then after you do all that in your profile, it will ask you if you want job mail. And you can say yes or no. What job mail is an automatic email that gets generated every time a listing comes in that matches your profile. So let's say you said, I'm a first-year student, I want a summer job in government. Or in government and a law firm and a corporation, it doesn't matter, EmployerNet, Career Center, I just want a summer job. You will get an email every time a summer job comes in, okay? If you want it. Now, that's all very nice, and I think it's a terrific idea. And by the way, that's true of whether we list the job or EmployerNet lists the job. It doesn't matter. As long as it's on that database, you'll get the email. I recommend that you check yourself at least a couple of times a week, or once a week maybe, just to make sure that you're getting everything. Remember, as you go forward in law school, now let's say the summer, I'm sort of skipping ahead a little bit, I want to give you an idea. Summer's now over, you got your summer job, and now you're thinking of a part-time job for next fall. If you don't change the personal profile to state, I'm now looking for a part-time job, you're going to keep getting summer jobs, which essentially means in September you're not going to get anything, because summer is over and we haven't yet gotten stuff for next summer. So the personal profile is extremely useful, but only if you use it properly. And I know you're very busy, but try to remember to do that. Also on the Brooklyn Law School homepage, well, I'm sorry, in the Career Center's portion of the Brooklyn Law School homepage, there is a news and announcements link. On that link, we will from time to time post what we think are particularly interesting articles from Career Center News. We will post our videos. We tape everything. We hope you'll come to our programs because coming to the program serves two purposes. One, you hear the program, but also you can ask questions, and it's a networking opportunity with the speakers. So it's better than watching the tape, but if for some reason you can't, you can certainly watch it. And all those tapes are posted, and the links will be in our announcements section. We also post all of our programs on the master calendar. I hope you're familiar with the website at this point. There is a news and events calendar, and each administrative office has a section of that calendar. If you look at the Career Center section, you will see that all of our programs for the fall are posted. They are also put in each issue of Career Center News on the front page. Career Center News is published twice a month, on the 1st and the 15th of every month. You will find it in a number of places. Those of you who came in a little later don't have your copy yet. Don't worry, we'll give it to you at the end. In our annex, we will have copies of Career Center News. In the kiosks in front of the elevators here at 250, in the lobby, in the kiosks in One Borum, and of course in the Career Center. We urge you to pick it up and read it at your convenience. It does contain a lot of helpful information. We put a lot of time into Career Center News. The timeline that you have, most of you have at the moment in your packets, and you'll really take a good hard look at that later, is your first year summer job search timeline. And I'm not going to go through all of it because it's pretty self-explanatory. Bottom line is this. Well, two bottom lines. First is, you really don't have to worry about the summer until after the finals. And I really want to stress that. There will be many, many listings that don't even start to come in until February and March. So you don't have to worry about it. There will be a program, I think on November 1st or November 4th, we will do for all first years. It'll be in the report room on what the opportunities are for the summer. And we also have an appearance by Professor Kaplow, who runs our clinical program, to give you a little bit of an overview of the clinical opportunities. The other bottom line is this. There are two exceptions to that bottom line. And that's this. If you think you might want to intern for a federal judge next summer, and by saying that, I don't mean you have to want to intern for a federal judge next summer, but if you want to intern for a federal judge next summer, or you may want to take advantage of the many government, usually federal government opportunities for the summer, then you will need to come and see us around November, and we've indicated that in the timeline. The reason for this is that in the case of the government opportunities, they have some early deadlines, frequently in December. So you want to get your resume looked at by us, you want to get your cover letter drafted and reviewed by us, and you want to make your application in a timely fashion. For federal judicial internships, it's not so much that there's a deadline, but the competition is very intense. Because a lot of law students from schools outside of New York City want to intern in the Second Circuit, which we are. And so the competition gets pretty fierce. I think we were able to place 23 or so or more last summer, interns in federal court. That's a big number. That's a very big number. And now, that doesn't mean if you don't do that next summer that something terrible has happened. You may not want to do it. You may want to do it in the spring or the fall instead of a class. So, I don't want to overstress this. Just to say that if you want to, and it is a very nice way to start your, sort of career, you need to think about that in November. A couple of early government deadlines. For example, the CIA deadline is September 30th. The FBI is November 1st. The Federal Trade Commission is September 20th. So there are some very good federal agencies where you get really fabulous experience, but with early deadlines. So these are the exceptions to, you don't have to think about it until after finals. I think it's a very, and not I think, I know it's a very personal issue. You need to decide for yourselves whether you can afford to take away the time from your studies to investigate all of these things. And it's perfectly fine if you don't, because as I said, many, many excellent opportunities come in much later. We also have a spring interviewing season, we call it. It's not as structured as the fall on-campus interviewing program, but it invites primarily government agencies, smaller law firms, public interest organizations, to either interview on campus or to let us collect for them and to interview in their offices. We had a pretty active spring season last year. We anticipate even a better one this year. That doesn't even start until mid-January, beginning of February. So you've got plenty of time. Don't even think about sending, yes?
Quick question, some of those government jobs you spoke of that you should apply for early, will they actually get back to you also early, such that you have to make a decision maybe before you've had the opportunity in the spring to investigate other options?
More than likely.
Okay.
Good question, but more than likely. Not always, but more than likely. They like to, you know, get it all done and catch you. That's the whole idea. Don't even think about sending out a resume or a cover letter before we've looked at it. I've been doing this for almost 12 years, and I can tell you that it is very rare that a student writes a really good cover letter. They're hard. It's your selling document. I'm not going to go into that because we're going to have a workshop on it. They're hard to do. Don't underestimate it. But the point is that a blah cover letter, I'm not even going to say a poor cover letter, but a blah cover letter is not going to do anything for you and is actually going to hurt you. So you need to take the time to come in and see us. And once we've met with you, we can do a lot with email for you, but we can't do that initially. We really need to meet with you and get to know you, get to know what your ideas were in coming to law school, what your hopes are, what your dreams are, and we talk about that. And we also help you decide what to do during law school, apart from your curriculum. Clinical experience. You know, before clinics were big, you took whatever classes you wanted, and that's fine. After all, you're in school. You may not ever be in school again. This is the time. When I was in law school, I took criminal procedure 2, even though, and 1, I didn't intend to be a criminal lawyer, but I wanted to. It interested me. But here's the thing. That didn't appear on my resume. Clinical experience does. And that's okay, too, but we are in a position to guide you about what we think helps, what may put you in a position of needing to explain a little more on an interview, and that's all right because we can help you with that too. So it's really important to keep in touch with us. The other reason is, and I will tell you that it is, and not amazingly, it is consistent and not surprising, that the graduates, I mean the recent graduates, who don't use us, who don't come in, who are not known to us, who haven't got our advice and our help, are the ones who end up without jobs at graduation. And so you don't want to be in that. You want to get the best of our, we're all lawyers. We have a lot of years of combined experience, and you really need to take advantage of it. Let me just see if I left anything out. I think that's it. Now, a lot of your classmates did not come to this. You will see them in class. You can tell them that they don't get their password and ID. Until now, they have to come in and see a counselor. okay? This is not a punishment. This is very important to get you started out right. This is why we do this. I want you to know we used to do this individually, but it just ground us to a halt. We couldn't service any of the upperclassmen. But at least we have your attention, we give you the information. We encourage you to ask us questions, to come in and see us, to stop by Annex and say hello. And I'll be writing letters to those of your section that didn't come and just telling them they really have to come in and see us and get the information. Do you have any questions?
What portion of the first year class normally would you say has a summer job by the time they get?
Well, I think we don't actually get that information because it's very hard to get all of you to report to us. But I would say, from looking at the resumes that come in over the summer, that all of you do something in legal. Now, when you say a job, I call a job also a clinical placement, as long as it's legal experience. It is not easy for first years to get paid. That I will tell you. Because law firm work, unless you've been a paralegal, is more for the second years. If you've been a paralegal, you can apply for pretty much anything. Government, public interest, these are great jobs though, and you get wonderful experience. You know, remember, government is just the other side of the mirror in terms of the private sector. Work study is a possibility, of course. I would say close to 100% are doing something legal. Now, some of you want to go abroad to our study abroad programs. Those work very well because they're only about 3 weeks. One is at the beginning, one is at the end. You can absolutely have an internship in the middle because internships in the summer tend to be flexible. So you can do both. Actually, I'm glad you brought it up because I forgot to say it is extremely important to get legal experience this summer. Yes?
What would you recommend, if in the event you couldn't get work study, what would you recommend if you really need to pay your rent?
If you cannot get work study.
Yeah.
Well, there are some paid jobs. You know, naturally the competition is keener. What you can do is take an internship, which doesn't demand, let's say, 40 hours a week, and do some non-legal job at some point for pay. That's which you don't have to put on your resume. Having said that, by the way, I know this is a little far in advance, but whatever you don't put on your resume for one reason or another that involves work, you must put on your bar exam application. So remember that when the time comes. Anything else? Okay, thanks for coming. And those 1 or 2 of you who came a little late, come up for your packets or for whatever else you might be doing.